When it comes to college basketball here in Connecticut, we're not only big fans of the UConn team here, but we love to go around the league and check in with some of our Big East friends. So join me today. We've got the new coach of DePaul, Coach Chris Holtmann. So, Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be with you, and look forward to chatting here.
Yeah, so take me through your decision process. The DePaul job's opened. You're trying to figure out what to do next. What about DePaul appealed to you?
Well, having spent some time in the Big East prior, as well as obviously the last 7 years in the Big Ten, I love the league, and the athletic director here, Dwayne Peavy, shared his vision, and I was at a point in my life where I was deciding whether or not I wanted to maybe do something with the media for a year or continue to coach, and had those options and considerations, and then there's some family considerations as well. But at the end of the day, it was really Dwayne's vision for what he wants this place to be, as well as our presidents, and that overall vision lined up with what I want, and it was a pretty quick move.
Yeah, now you get to do a little media here, coming on the podcast and coaching at the same time. So it all worked out for you there.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, it's exactly right. Media is a big part of our job. So yeah, whether I was going to do it full time or it's always a part of our job.
So, it's been a few months now since you've taken the job. How have things been adjusting to life at DePaul?
It's been a lot, as you can imagine. And the first thing is I had an idea on our staff who what was going to be our staff makeup for the most part, or at least a fair amount. So that was kind of priority number one, and then jumping into a roster that at that time I wasn't sure, were we going to have a couple guys back.
Mhm.
I knew we probably weren't going to have most of the team back, but how many were we going to have back? How many wanted to come back? All those conversations. It ended up being a obvious situation where we fielded a whole new team. So for us, it was hiring a couple staff guys, and then some behind the scenes recruiting guys, and get to work right away putting a team together.
Yeah, I remember when Coach Hurley started here at UConn, he came in talking about, here's what I'm trying to do year one as you're trying to build the program back up. What are kind of your goals for year one of this program in the process that you've got laid out there?
I think obviously, and I'll say this because I've said it on other podcasts. When I was in the league, UConn wasn't in the league,
Yeah.
and it was still a league that had, in a lot of times, over half of its representation in the NCAA tournament, 5 or 6 teams in a lot of cases, but didn't have a chance to compete against UConn. I've known and obviously competed in recruiting against Danny, and I just have tremendous respect for what has went. I think we'll look back in 30 years at what UConn has done with even greater appreciation than what we have right now, given how hard it is in this climate. So the addition of UConn to the league has been, I think, really good for everybody. It's amazing, this last 2 year run. Um, I forgot the question. What was the question?
Looking at your process and what you kind of put in place for, some goals for year one and as you try to build DePaul
Yeah.
back, to being a power there.
Yeah, I think when you look back at it, we're the longest tenured high major program not to play in the NCAA tournament, 20 years. It's been 19 years since we've played in the NIT. And the average wins in the Big East has been right around, 3.5. So it's really been a situation where for a couple decades, outside of a couple years, there's been some real challenges. I think you have to begin with just increasing the level of night in, night out competitiveness, and kind of what that looks like. People see it, they recognize it when they see it, and that's where we have to begin. And we have to begin by adding a roster of guys that are really committed to building this thing the right way, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Along with the basketball thing, I know we've talked about it here in Connecticut around UConn football when it's had its difficulties in getting that program and the perception changed, when you're thinking about that as a program in the media landscape and things like that. How do you go about, coming into DePaul and trying to change some of that perception? I know obviously showing it on the court goes a long way, but outside of that, how do you go about kind
Yeah.
of changing that perception there?
No, I think that's valid. I think that's going to be maybe the biggest challenge is this perception around the brand of DePaul basketball. Um, how do we go about changing that? Um, you know, we've had some success here early in recruiting
Hmm.
that I feel really good about, and I think it is always about the people. I think whenever you take over a program, it is always about the people. And I think if we can add the right people, which I really feel strongly about at this point, we have in terms of the consistency of our roster as well as our staff. I think we can begin that process. But changing the perception around this being a place that can do some things is going to be really important for us. And there's no question that's taken a hit over a couple decades, and winning will change that. I think winning, competing consistently, winning some recruiting battles, all of that changes. This is just a step-by-step process.
Yeah. As you've had the summer to kind of get to be around your team a little bit, how are you feeling about the group at this point, in the off season?
Most coaches feel really good about their guys in the summer, then ask us again in January, the heart of Big East season, and it feels different. The tone feels a little different. Or February, those
That's
dog
why I
days.
hit you up now, coach.
Yes, that's right. Those dog days of February. Um, but most coaches, I feel really good about the guys that and I honestly, I feel pretty confident that throughout the year, we're going to take some, you're going to have some struggles in this early process here, these first couple of years. I think that's par for the course. There are no quick fixes when you're rebuilding a program. Um, as much as we'd like to think there is in this new climate, the
Yeah.
reality is it does take some time. And for us, I think it's a day-to-day process, but I feel really good about the group of guys that we've added in this program. Just some really important guys that I think we'll look back on, in 5 to 6 years and reflect really well upon, the imprint that they made.
Yeah. As you talk about the change in climate as you're looking to rebuild, does the transfer portal make it a bit easier for you as a head coach to move things along a little quicker than maybe you would have been able to do in the past?
I think so. I think you've probably seen, rebuilds be a little bit quicker, in today's climate. But I also don't think in terms of sustaining the success of a program, that can happen overnight. I don't think that's a reality. It wasn't a reality 20 years ago. It's not a reality today.
Yeah.
When you're talking about sustained success, okay,
Right. Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't have a good year. We're talking about consistency. I think that's going to require the implementation of your belief system, how you want to play, how you want to compete, changing the mindset around
Mhm.
programs and around the people who are attached to the program. All that stuff takes time, and it doesn't happen in 4 months or 3 months or often cases a year. So, but I do think the immediate on floor product can look different, a little bit different now that the transfer portal's been in play.
When you talk about, kind of getting your belief system in there, your style of play, for those who might not have been, super familiar with a Coach Holtmann led team, how would you describe your style of play out there and what you're looking to see from your team?
Well, I think we had both at Butler. It evolves. My first head coaching job was at Gardner Webb
Mhm.
University, a small Division I in North Carolina, and then at Butler for 3 years, and then at Ohio State for 7 years. So I think it evolves because the game is constantly
Mhm.
evolving. But I think more than anything, we're going to be, we want to be a physical team. We want to be tough and tough-minded. And, I think we want to build an offense that has a fair amount of skill that can play off each other. Those are things that hopefully our guys will demonstrate and fans will be able to see. And we want to be able to be a group that's tough and tough-minded.
Football season is here, and you know what that means. Tailgates. Make your next game day spread unforgettable with Martin Rosel's Meats. For over 96 years, they've been crafting the highest quality hot dogs, kielbasa, and sausages using fresh, never frozen meats sourced right here in the US. Whether you're grilling up at home or at the stadium, Martin Rosel's has the flavor that will make your tailgate the talk of the season. Visit martinroselsinc.com to find their products near you and to taste the tradition. Having been in the Big East before, how excited are you to be back in this conference when it's, a conference representing two past national championships? You go back a few more years with Villanova. It's been a great basketball conference for years now.
Before the last 8, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think I have that number correct. I'm really glad to be back. I love the league. I love the Big East. Have always loved it before Butler was a member of the Big East. I remember it being such a big move.
Mhm.
Absolutely love the league. It's branded as a basketball league. We understand that. Like the league is, front and that's important to them. They make that clear, and I just think that's a distinguishing mark for us.
Mhm.
But on top of that, one of the things that was really attractive for me in deciding, hey, do I want to coach? Do I want to go into media for a year or two? Was I love the quality of coaching and playing in this league. I mean, think about it. You have legit, multiple Hall of Famers in this league, and you
Right.
have guys that are going to go down as some of the all-time really great coaches, both at their schools and their current schools, and just in general. So I love the league. I love the quality of it. You won't hear me say this much, but the officiating when I left the Big East, I thought the officiating was really good. So, Danny might have some disagreements on that. I'm not sure, but some of the other coaches, but had great respect for that as well.
Yeah, no, I know it's you talk about the coaching there. You look up and down this league. I mean, the respect I have for every coach in this league really goes a long way there. Being in Chicago, obviously one of those places, just a hotbed of basketball. How have you felt, making that move back to Chicago now and being able to recruit such a really active landscape there?
Yeah, really good. I mean, I think, as in a lot of major cities, you still have a fair amount of guys that move out of the city. What I think Chicago provides for us, both the city and the suburb, is a lot of really good talent, good coaching, the city, the suburbs, the state of Illinois, deep talent pool. But you also have a lot of guys who have played somewhere else, maybe played here in high school, or maybe are from here, might
Mhm.
have went to a prep school and played somewhere else, then went to another 4-year school. And you have those guys coming back as options via the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be something we're going to want to tap into consistently. Just
Mhm.
guys that are from here, have family around here, might want to come back here for their last 1, 2, or 3 years of school.
Yeah. UConn fans always like to do their research, especially here in the off season. So give us a couple guys on your roster that we should be having our eyes on heading into the season.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard horror stories about playing there for a variety of reasons. The unbelievable fan base that is UConn hoops, as well as the talent and the players and the coaching and all that goes into that. So I'm interested on those cold nights in stores and see. It's going to be. I'm sure it'll be a great challenge for our group. I think our guys are really going to be excited about all the venues. But what I will say is, we've got a number of guys. I'll start just with some of our older guys. A
Yeah.
couple of them have been injured, but like David Skogman is a transfer from Davidson. He's a big fella who's shot over 40% from three that we're really excited about. We have a backcourt. We have a young man from Illinois, Chicago, who's going to provide scoring for. I'm really excited about Isaiah, what he can provide for us as well. Those are two of our older guys. And then just we have a backcourt that I think you're always looking when you are taking over a program at putting together that position, that point guard position, and how important it is. We have a couple guys there, and Connor Enright and Layden Blocker, as well as some young guys that are going to be able to, I think, step into important roles. And then in the middle of the lineup, we've got a lot of guys that I think have some experience at higher levels, as well as looking for just more opportunities than what they had at their previous stop.
All right. I love to ask coaches this one, and since you've been in the Big East, I'll make it Big East specific. What's the toughest place on the road you brought your team in the Big East in your previous go around?
In the Big East,
Yeah.
we had some battles with Xavier. The Cintas Center is always a
Okay.
hard place to play. Creighton is that's a really difficult place to play, as so many people know. The Butler Xavier rivalry made that thing a little more. There was a little more edge to that one in particular. A place that I didn't realize before I got into the league that was going to be as hard to play,
Yeah.
given the fan base, was Providence.
Okay. All right.
I
Yeah.
had no idea, even though I consider myself a college basketball guy, before getting to Butler, I had no idea just the passion that Providence fans brought to that environment, and it's a phenomenal environment.
Yeah, no, certainly is. I'll wrap with this one for you. In Connecticut here, we're passionate about our pizza. I know it's the same way out there in Chicago. Are you a big deep dish pizza guy?
I'm my wife likes deep dish. My daughter kind of likes deep dish. I'm more of more of the thin crust.
All right.
I
Okay. There you
appreciate
go.
it a little bit more. So I don't know what style that would be called, maybe, but
It fits,
yeah,
it fits what we've got over here. So
yeah, I've heard that. The
yeah.
Northeast, I heard, is a little more into that flavor.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I
Great.
love it. We have incredible restaurants here.
Yeah.
You know, Chicago's an unbelievable city, and particularly this time of year, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of my favorite places to visit. So looking forward to getting back out there, and we'll check out when the Huskies come into town. So Coach, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking some time this offseason to come on.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.